say the last mile and a half, there was this guy, he came up on me at the end, and I was so ready to be done. I was like, I felt like I was running in jello or something. And soaking it in, but I was like, I'm like at my limit here. We were like back and forth. And I think I probably would have run 20 or 30 seconds slower that last mile if he hadn't been next to me, and ended up getting him at the end.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Set the Pace, the official podcast of New York Roadrunners presented by Peloton. I'm your host, Rob Simmelcare, the CEO of New York Roadrunners, and Bex Gentry from Peloton is here with me. Happy Thanksgiving, Bex. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there.
Yeah, happy Turkey Day to you Americans.
I know that Thanksgiving is not a thing you grew
No,
up with, so maybe
not
it's
at
not
all.
that exciting. But do
It
you
is.
make Thanksgiving a thing in your family? I mean,
I have to. I have
Yes,
to.
you do.
I'm the only British person in a humongous family, so my nationality doesn't count on the holidays. And I have to show my daughter the traditions of the country she is living in and being raised in. The only thing I will say that I dislike about Thanksgiving is the fact that it steals my Christmas meal, because you guys eat turkey and all of the trimmings now, which is what we have at Christmas. So I get really upset that on Christmas I'm like, I don't want steak. Like, I don't want beef at Christmas. I want turkey. It's a month away. But nobody in the Curtis family wants to do turkey again. So that's my only gripe with it. But that's why I've now adopted this like go all in, go hard for Thanksgiving, because I treat it like Christmas.
That actually is really funny. In my family, we just really like turkey, so we would do the double. We would have Thanksgiving turkey and then
Okay.
Christmas turkey again. So it was
Okay.
we
I'll see
didn't
you on the
mind that
25th of
at
December
all.
then.
Yes, exactly. You're welcome to join. But yes, a lot of people will switch it up for.
Yeah.
I mean, if they do Christmas, they may do a ham or beef
Yeah.
or something like that, because not everybody
No.
loves turkey as much as we love turkey. But
You must have a good chef in your family though.
the turkey chef, you're looking at him right now.
Oh.
It's me.
Okay, I'm calling you then. I'm calling you because I'm cooking this year and I am petrified. I bought my bird yesterday. She's big, and that's about as far as I've got.
I can give you tips. I'm very lucky. My mother is an excellent cook, was an excellent cook back when she was cooking things. She gave me all the secrets over the years to turkey, to some other things. Like we do a corn pudding and some other great mac and cheese, which my youngest daughter always insists that I make just the way her grandmother made it. So it's all those things that make Thanksgiving really my favorite holiday, because the crazy shopping hasn't started yet. It's all about the getting together, enjoying food. And what I also love is that it's so universal. It's not religious. It's not anybody can come to the United States, someone like you, for instance, and adopt this holiday.
Exactly.
So it's a great time. And I hope everybody out there, if you're listening on Thursday or after the fact, have or are having a great Thanksgiving. And of course, Bex, one of the great traditions of Thanksgiving in the United States is the turkey trot. It's kind of the one day a year that so many non-runners decide they're going to run. There's so many
dressed up too.
One race a year people who are racing on Thanksgiving morning, which I absolutely love. So are you going to be out there turkey trotting?
I have no idea. You know what? I'm actually going to look up right now if there is one near me. I feel like I saw, because we're not going to be in New York for Thanksgiving this year. We're going to be at Lake House. And I think I saw one on the drive home, but I don't remember where. So I'll find out. I might do it, or I might not, because as I'm the chef, that might be a bad idea. But I'll converse with you tomorrow, Rob. Give me some timing tips.
Yeah, it can be complicated. Some people will put their turkey in really early and then go for the run, or depends a lot on what time you're going to eat, right? So that's the biggest issue everybody has to decide is, what time do you eat Thanksgiving dinner? And then you kind of model it around that. But so there's a great turkey trot near me that I've run a bunch of times. It's in Southport, Connecticut. It's the Pequot Runners Thanksgiving Day 5-miler. Which I love. It's one of the best races in Fairfield County, Connecticut. They always get a couple thousand folks signed up for this race. It's really special. And this year I'm running it, but I'm doing something different actually this year. I'm going to run with a team called My Team Triumph. And My Team Triumph, Bex, is an awesome organization. They get runners to come out and run with disabled athletes, runners with disabilities. A lot of them are folks who are, some of them are ambulatory, a lot of them are non-ambulatory, and they put together teams around these great people to take them out and give them a special experience running on Thanksgiving Day. So I've signed up as what's called an angel for my team Triumph, and the athletes themselves, the stars of the show, they're called the captains of the team. And so I'll be an angel on some captain's team on Thursday, and I can't wait to do that. It'll be my first time running with my team Triumph, a great organization. So that I think will be a really special way to ring in Thanksgiving.
It will. That sounds amazing. Well, I'll be tuning into your social to see how that goes for sure.
Yeah, very excited. So you've had some busy times, Bex. I know you were just out in Vegas recently with Peloton. You're becoming like Ms. Formula One. Talk about that. There's a big. I know you the Brits love Formula One racing. Americans are getting more into it, but it was never really my thing. But there was a big F1 race out in Vegas, and you and your Peloton colleagues got to be a part of that.
Exactly. Yeah. Peloton were the official fitness sponsor of the F1 Las Vegas 2025 Grand Prix, which meant we got to attend Vegas, the Vegas race, and we produced 4 special IRL classes from the Awakening Theatre at the Wynn Hotel, which was mind-blowing. I encourage everyone to at least you don't even have to run it or bike it, just watch it if you've got the app, because the production was incredible. The team that we worked with were through the roof good, and we got to do some fun stuff. We got to do some race car driving on a track. I drove a McLaren at 168. Austin says kilometers, but he wasn't there, and I think it was miles. It felt very fast.
That's going pretty fast. Yeah.
Yes. And we got to learn, we had an instructor next to us, and we got to be coached how to go into turns and like accelerate and go full throttle through like S-bends in these supercars, which was wild. But needless to say, it's Vegas. You go hard and then you go home. And it was the tail end of the week was minimal sleep, mucho party, but it was basically 3 mamas who never go out, and we had a lot of fun. And all I will say is thank goodness it was a sports race, because most of them were sponsored by water companies, which was great for me. That enabled me to be able to go out all night, because I was like, I've got my bottle and it's not champagne.
Nice to see you having some fun out there in Vegas. And like the opposite of the runner's mindset that you have to be so focused and go to sleep early and wake up and hydrate. Go out to Vegas, have some fun, party a little bit. Good for you,
and come back
Bex.
with my larynx hating me, but that's fine.
We can still hear you. You can rest up over the Thanksgiving holiday. I know you'll be doing a little of that in between your runs on the treadmill.
Yes.
So, well, good. Glad you had a great time. We had a great time this past Sunday, Bex, in Central Park. A great annual tradition at New York Roadrunners, the Race to Deliver 4-miler to benefit God's love, we deliver. This was the 32nd year New York Roadrunners has partnered with God's Love We Deliver, which, if you don't know, is an amazing local organization with a mission to prepare and deliver nutritious, medically tailored needs to New Yorkers who are affected by severe and chronic illnesses. Great cause, great race, and we're so proud to continue that partnership with God's Love We Deliver. We also had some great running that day as well. On the women's side, it was Kate McCrary winning that race, 22-21 for Central Park Track Club. The non-binary winner was Pierce Leiden at 24:53 for Beast from Reese. That's a club I haven't heard of before. And on the men's side, it was Hugo Cascials, 20 minutes and 9 seconds for Central Park Track Club. Congrats to everybody out there. It was a great day. And a nice day to run, nice and cool, overcast, no rain. So I think people had a great day out there in Central Park on Sunday.
Congrats, everyone.
Absolutely. Well, Bex, we've got a guest today who is one of these folks it makes you realize that running really fast is just a gift, right? And some people just have it. You have it. Our guest today has it. He is a guy who's got a full-time job as Runner's World's news editor. His name is Theo Kahler, and not only did he run the TCS New York City Marathon for the first time on November 2nd, but he finished in 40th place which is pretty incredible for someone who was only running their third ever marathon and their first time in New York.
Isn't that incredible that he can do that? Anyway, you are going to find out how he did that, and hear how kind of humble he really and truly is with this magnificent skill to run that fast.
That's right. And how he balances his job, which is in running, so that kind of helps, but
Yes.
a busy job with running at that level. So Theo Kahler will join us. And then someone who did not run their first marathon will be our member moment. Raymond Choy actually completed the TCS New York City Marathon for the 27th time this year. And he's here to tell us why, year after year, decade after decade, he keeps coming back. So we look forward to hearing from Raymond as well. And if you ran on November 2nd, but you're having a hard time lacing back up, well, we talk about that a little bit with Theo, actually. But today's Meb Minute is also for you, because he's going to talk about how your body learns so much more than maybe you realized during the journey to 26.2 miles. Meb's going to break it all down for you and help you get back out there on the roads. Peloton is leveling up. With the launch of their Peloton cross-training series, they're redefining what race training can look like. Personalized cardio and strength that makes it easier than ever to achieve real results. Whether runners are building a base or pushing for a PR, Peloton meets them where they are, then helps them go further. Smarter training, stronger outcomes, all backed by expert instruction and performance insights. Ready to elevate your race game with Peloton? Head to onepeloton.com to learn more. Peloton, an official partner of the 2025 TCS New York City Marathon. Theo Kahler is the news editor at Runner's World. He's a former collegiate track standout from South Carolina, and now he covers the sport's biggest events as a journalist. But even as he holds down a full-time job, Theo has not given up his running dreams. In fact, he seems to be getting better and better. This month, Theo ran his first TCS New York City Marathon and placed 40th overall, and crossed the line as the 15th American in the men's category. Ever true to his first-person narrative writing style, Theo wrote a much-talked-about article for Runner's World titled, "I finished 40th at the New York City Marathon with a full-time job. You don't need to be a pro to dream big." And that's an awesome message, and clearly the truth for Theo Kahler. Congratulations, Theo, on an unbelievable run in New York.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was such a fun day, like beautiful weather, and yeah, couldn't have asked for much more.
Absolutely incredible. I'm blown away by your story, and I'm so excited to hear more from you, from the man himself. So let's just reiterate here. This was your first time running the TCS New York City Marathon, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you clocked a 2:24:12. Right?
Correct, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Finishing 40th out of over 59,000 runners. This is a lot. So I want to know, Theo, were any of these three things your goal going in? And what were your goals, if not? And how did they unfold? Like, talk us through it.
Yeah, so I have a lot of friends that have run the race before, and obviously, like as a journalist, I've covered the race. I think every year. I think I've been at the race every year since 2022. So heard so much about it. But just kind of from talking to some friends who are like similar fitness to me, who have run similar times, I thought kind of given, if it's kind of the quality of the field, I could finish anywhere from like 30th to 60th. So I think top 50 was kind of my goal. So yeah, to finish 40th was like kind of exactly what I was looking for. You never know how you're going to feel on race day, and, it's the marathon. There's, hours and hours that something could go wrong, but, fortunately it worked out. And, I also got a PR too. This was my third marathon overall. I ever run Grandma's Marathon over the summer and Indianapolis Marathon last fall. And so I've really been trying to take it kind of slow. And, at Indianapolis, I really just wanted to get, have a good experience, not walk away from the marathon feeling like I blew up and, had this terrible day. And that was definitely mission accomplished there. So I ran 2:27 there. And then at Grandma's, it was super, super humid. It was in the 70s with like 90% humidity by the end. And so that was more of a, it can be a very fast race, but that was more of a like, get to the line, give it what you got on the day kind of thing. And so New York, with the weather being good and, kind of doing some scouting, from coworkers or teammates or that kind of thing. I feel like I executed my race plan really well, and heard a lot of the same advice. Don't go too hard up the Verrazano. Kind of don't get too excited in Brooklyn, and then save something for that last 10K. And I feel like I heeded that advice. So it was still tough. It was still a hard race. I gave everything I had, but I think all things considered, definitely a big success.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I would say so. Absolutely. I liked your article, Theo, that you wrote after the marathon. It's in Runner's World. I recommend anybody check it out. It's called How I Finished 40th in the New York City Marathon with a full-time job. You don't need to be a pro to dream big. And you talk about your kind of running career, right? And you divide it into two phases, basically. The first was when you were a high school and a college runner, and you were very, competitive, elite runner, ran at South Carolina. But at the end of that part of your running career, Theo, you didn't feel like maybe you had lived up to your potential. Talk about that phase a little bit, and kind of how you ended that, and what that was like to be that kind of competitive runner, but maybe not feeling like you had done everything you wanted to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mentioned in the article, I kind of divide up my career into two. And I was actually kind of a late bloomer with competitive running in high school and stuff. I played soccer for a while. I wasn't very athletic, but I loved like the team element, and I loved sports, and I loved, just being part of a team. But I was always pretty good at conditioning. And so I tried out for the cross country team after I kind of saw the writing on the wall that I wasn't going to be a professional soccer player or a college soccer player or anything like that. I was kind of riding the bench or on JV, but picked up cross country really quickly. And this was my junior year of high school. And so really just fell in love with the sport and fell in love with the progress you can see in running. Like the times are all out there. You can't really hide much. But it's also great because you can run 20 minutes in the 5K one week, and then a few weeks later you're at 19 and then 18, and really getting down there. And so I really like that part. So I improved. I made like some all-state teams in South Carolina, and then went to Winthrop University for undergrad, which is like a mid-major Division I school, kind of in the Charlotte area, and ran on the track team there. Improved a lot. I graduated high school. I'd run about 16:30 in the 5K, and then graduated Winthrop having run 14:24.
Wow.
And so I had some extra eligibility because I'd like studied abroad and graduated a semester early. And so I had 3 extra semesters of eligibility. So I went to Wake Forest University for grad school and ran there, which is, they were just 12th at the NCAA championships a few days ago. But unfortunately, I kind of picked up a lingering injury from Winthrop, and just kind of an overuse thing. And just something that it was never like one moment where I'm hurt, but I just had a lot of groin pain. And so eventually, kind of during COVID, I started Wake in January of 2020, and ended up having to get surgery and didn't really get to race and be part of that high level team as much as I wanted. So I feel like I did get to PR, ended college with 14:20 in the 5K, kind of when I first got to Wake, but I didn't PR the last 3 semesters, and I was just kind of burned out, and it wasn't necessarily like the coach's fault or the team's fault, but college running is like so demanding, and I definitely wasn't sleeping enough. I definitely wasn't like probably eating as healthy as I should have. And you want to socialize, and you got all these competing priorities. And so I took a lot of time off after college, and then sort of waited for the hunger to come back, I guess. I did a lot of cycling, and even did some racing and like criterium racing for cycling, some road racing. But I really kind of felt the call to come back to running. I just kind of missed it. I missed seeing my buddies, and I missed, just kind of getting out there every day and having fun with it. And so I would say maybe since 2022, I've really started to kind of train again. And then really since 2023, I think is kind of when we were, me and my coach, John Lapino, were kind of like, all right, let's see how far we can get with running again. Let's try this again. And hopefully, we're healthy now, we're stronger now. And so, yeah, this is kind of my second act.
Oh my goodness. It sounds like you've always had such a great drive and sense of discipline, I would say. Even if you were being pulled in multiple directions when you were at college, but you're young.
Who
You're
isn't? Yeah.
exactly. Your life is about having fun, and luckily for you, running was a part of that. So
Mhm.
now you're a grown up. You're fully grown up. You have responsibilities. Um, let's talk about how you like your article essentially, but like let's talk about it here. How on earth do you manage your training to be at that elite level around a 9 to 5 work schedule?
Yeah, I think flexibility is the biggest key. And it's something that, you kind of have in college where you can, pick which classes you want and, you can study whenever you feel like you want to. But a 9 to 5 is like, you're on 9 to 5. You got to work around that a little bit.
Mm.
I would say, luckily, I'm not working, on my feet all day. It is like kind of more of a desk job. And so I feel like I do get to save a little bit of energy that way. And, Runner's World is great. Like we test, hundreds and hundreds of shoes among hundreds of wear testers and stuff. So I'm fortunate to help out our gear team with some shoe testing. So certainly a great perk. And my manager is never offended if I go out for a lunch run or anything like that. That's kind of part of the territory. And it also is helpful for like idea generation and, coming up with some kind of first person articles just for my training. But I do a lot of my running in the morning. I live pretty close to work, so I don't really have to worry about a commute, which I sort of planned when I moved from South Carolina to Pennsylvania. I'm like, if I'm going to move this far, I'm going to be close to work. I'm not going to be driving, an hour to work or half an hour to work. Um, so I do get to save a lot of time in the morning with the commute. But yeah, usually twice a week, I'll do a workout, usually like Tuesday, Friday in the morning on the roads, and then usually a Sunday long run. During marathon training, sometimes that's more of like a Tuesday, Wednesday workout and a harder Sunday long run or Saturday long run, just to give myself plenty of time to recover. But without the college racing schedule, I think I only raced maybe like 4 or 5 times this year that were like really hard efforts. And so it's not like college where every 2 weeks you got to get back out there and you're running as fast as you can. And if you don't, you're like, well, I gotta get better. And so I like kind of being able to spread out racing a little bit. And I work with I mentioned John Lapino, my coach. He was one of my good friends at Wake Forest. He's an assistant coach there now. And so we're very much on the same page of like, how much recovery I need. And, if I need to take an extra day, we're not afraid. So we're definitely taking a long-term approach, and kind of less is more is sort of our approach. We're gradually, each marathon block, we're trying to kind of raise the stakes a little bit, but not rushing things helps a lot. But I will say, during like travel, like if I'm covering a race, like New York or one of the other world marathon majors or track meets, that I don't always get in high quality training. I kind of have to go into those races saying like, well, this 3 or 4 day stretch, let's get in what we can. Let's see some sights. Maybe we get in like a mini little session in the morning or something, or right before I leave, get on the plane. But a lot of those, it's pretty hard to, with travel and, trying to stay healthy, like not getting sick and being around a lot of people. I kind of have to, pick my battles sometimes with work trips.
Yeah, and that's really kind of the lesson of your story in the article you wrote, right, Theo? Which is there are ways to do this and to get faster, and whatever your goals may be, whether they're finishing in the top 50 in the New York City Marathon, which is a pretty lofty goal, or just running your first sub 3 or first sub 4, whatever it might be for a runner out there. It's possible to balance these things with a full-time job. You just have to give yourself the grace and the flexibility. And you talked about how this chapter of your running career in a way is easier than it was when you were in college, because you can move your workouts around and you can have that flexibility to do what you need to do when you can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Flexibility is key. And having a lot of agency, I think is, and a coach who understands that is very helpful. But yeah, I'm always out there. I'm not always able to go to trivia on a Wednesday night and have a few beers. Sometimes I got to be like, I got to go to bed at 9 or 9:30 and get my sleep. I'm very precious about my sleep. So that's something I think I learned in college. I was not doing enough. I think I was getting more like 6 or 7 hours, and I've just learned for my body like 9 or 8 to 9 is kind of what I need, especially when I'm running 75, 80 miles a week.
Yeah.
So luckily that's helped me stay healthy too. But you do have to kind of be you have to say no to a lot of things sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
especially during the height of training. So I try to, after races, I try to, hang out with my friends a little bit more and let loose a little bit. So,
Sure.
you don't want to burn out mentally either. Yeah.
No, exactly. I love what you said earlier that you and your coach are thinking about the long term
Hmm.
instead of training for the short term, which
Hmm.
is, I'm sure you've seen in your role as a running sports journalist. It is a problem right now with a lot of people because they are training so intensely around having a full-time job. Running isn't their full-time job. And they are doing every single race, which, yes, Rob's like, yes, yes, everybody do all the races, but really no, because
Yeah.
for the long-term goals for your body, that is not good. It is not safe. And you had, it was hip surgery when you were at
Yeah.
college. So
Hmm.
you've experienced that setback, that annoyance that's come from training too hard. So how, as a running journalist, like how do you see the change in culture of running from kind of not nothing, but a subculture to a huge culture, and now this, I hope, shift to longevity?
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to what you're trying to get out of the sport. My personal running, I come from more of a competitive background, and so I'm very oriented by, goals for the current training cycle or, longer term goals. Like me and my coach are trying to qualify, or I guess I am. He's helping me trying to qualify for the Olympic trials in 2028, which would be
Woo.
216. But I'm a ways off that, and so we know if we want to get there, we might have to, sacrifice some races, and maybe turn down a few things.
Mhm.
Um, I think I raced a road mile in May before Grandma's Marathon, and it's like my hometown race. I love that race so much. There was like prize money and stuff, and so I was like, okay, like I want to go out there and just see what I can do. I'm training for a marathon, and this is going to be like, a mile road race, so like the complete opposite.
Yeah.
And I mean, he knew I was going to run it, and I think in the moment during the race, I kind of ran it a little too hard,
Oops.
and uh, and after I was like, okay, you might have been right, like maybe we shouldn't have done that. That was probably a little risky. I want to say I had maybe like a little hamstring thing or something after that.
Mhm.
And so I think like learning, what's the A goal, and then what are some goals that are like, let's, would be nice, but maybe we can move those in favor of the A goal. Um, so that's how we train. I mean, there's also people out here who, in our office even, who, doing a park run every week, or doing a lot of races, is like they enjoy it. They're
Mhm.
not going as hard as possible. They're more just in it for like the social aspect. And so
Yeah.
I think what's great about running is, you have these different kind of approaches to the sport, whether it's fitness or recreational or socializing or competitiveness. And so I think, yeah, I would encourage people to, like, if they are going to focus on performance and like a long-term goal, really kind of have that goal in the back of your mind with, I don't want to say every decision you make, but like in a way, like, yes, like that's kind of how I think. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you gotta, but it's also kind of helpful to have like a long-term goal, especially
Yeah.
years down the road, where you're like, okay, like, this race this weekend or this race in a few months, like, if it doesn't go great, it's not the end of the world. That's not the main goal.
Mm-hmm.
We got time to work with. So,
Mm.
yeah.
I like
Love it.
that. I like that. That way you're not putting too much pressure on any one race or any one event
Yeah.
because, listen, races don't always go according to plan. Your race did on November 2nd, but they don't, whether it's
Yeah.
weather or how
Absolutely.
you're feeling that day or whatever happens. And marathons in particular are just so unpredictable, given the challenge of that distance. I want to
Mhm.
talk about the journalism side a little bit, Theo. You work for Runner's World, which is kind of the Bible of running. It's been
Hmm.
around for quite a long time. I think since the 70s, it's been
Hmm.
covering this sport. And what's it like to have that bird's eye view of the sport of running? You cover the professional side, but you also write these first person articles, which give people a sense of how you run and what it's like to be someone at your level, and the way you run and
Hmm.
train. What's that? What's it like to have that spot in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an honor to work for such a like storied publication. yeah, I feel very fortunate that that they hired me in 2021 when I was coming out of school. But I think it's given me a lot of perspective because, I did mention like I came from more of a competitive sort of like performance driven background, but I see, we're going out for lunch runs and stuff, and there's people who are maybe just trying to get back into shape. Like don't care about their pace, don't care about their 5K time, and really just love running because they love running. And so I think that's like really helpful perspective where I realized that, um, you know, there's not one way to enjoy running. There's not one
Yeah.
way to be a runner. And I think that's something we try to celebrate a lot with Runner's World. I do cover the professional side of the sport as a news editor, but I'm not. That's like not my only beat. Um, and I would say we cover a pretty large sort of breadth of running. So it might be Western states like a 100-mile ultra marathon. It might be the Fifth Avenue Mile. It might be a track race. We cover some sprinting as well. And so it's cool to like learn about a lot of different sides of running I didn't even realize are out there. Like ultra running was not something that was on my radar in, when I was running the mile in college or anything. But there's some really incredible stories out there. And it's a lot of fun trying to kind of find those stories and, poke around online and social media and, call people and talk to people and uncover some of that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's fun. It's a perfect job for a running nerd like myself. I feel very fortunate to get to do it.
What's been your favorite story so far that you've written for Runner's World? One that everybody should read. If there's one Theo Kahler story.
Oh man, about myself or about
just
someone
in
else?
general,
Or...
something about an event or somebody else. What's been your favorite article so far that you've written?
Oh man, one of the ones with I guess the most reporting. This is like kind of a little boring, but it was about the NCAA house settlement last year, or kind of this past year, and how NCAA schools are. It's like a thorny legal settlement, so like I don't want to like
about the whole pro
like,
athlete situation and money to athletes and all that stuff.
Yeah, kind of like paying college athletes, and it just took a lot of reporting and a lot of background. And
so you sound like a reporter, like you like to get in there and dig in and really do the reporting with sources and all that stuff.
Yeah, that was a fun one because I don't come from a legal background, but just like sitting in on calls and like doing a lot of research myself, I feel like I learned a lot about a subject that's like very complicated and kind of hard to explain. But there have been a lot of implications about the settlement in the NCAA. Like some schools have had to cut their rosters, and there's a lot of like ripple effects. And so I feel like it's fun to like take a complicated issue and try to explain it to the readers, as best you can. And I feel like I definitely excel more in like written form than maybe explaining things, out loud sometimes. But yeah. So I'm not a podcast host like you guys.
You're doing great.
I've got a kind of selfish question I really want to know is, as you are climbing up on your professional running career, with that goal, as you said, of the 2:16 OTQ up ahead, when you go to cover running events and you're not running, are you taking tips, tricks, looking at your potential competition, anything like that?
So I would say, and there's sort of like debate on this in the running community, but I would say I'm like in the sub elite category. And so a lot of my friends and I kind of differentiate it where you have the professional athletes who are like the ones getting paid, they're getting appearance fees. These are the people in the top 10 of the race kind of thing. And then you have sort of the next group, the sub elite, which is kind of what I'm in. And in New York, the marathon even has a sub elite start, which I was fortunate to get a part of. And, you get to be out in at Ocean Breeze track in Staten Island, and you're warming up with Eliud Kipchoge and all these professional athletes, which is pretty crazy. And I got to start in wave one at the very front, and so there was like a TV camera in my face, and people were sending me screenshots. So I would say I'm more focused on kind of like racing the people in that sub elite category, I would say. And luckily, with the running community, they're all like super nice people. I see a lot of the same faces at these races. Um, and so I feel like even when you're racing them, it's like, let's kind of lift each other up sort of thing. And like,
Mm.
if you have a good day and I have a bad day, like I'm still super happy for it, even if you beat me and even if maybe I wanted to beat you. So yeah, I'm always picking people's brain about training and, trying to make connections. And, sometimes I come up with like story ideas and, just from racing people.
Theo, you talk about your next goal, which is that
Mm.
OTQ, that Olympic trials qualifying time, which is 2:16 for you. You're at 2:24 in New York, which is a hard course. Do you think that's attainable? What do you think it would take for you to shave off those 8 minutes to get into the Olympic trials?
Yeah, 8 minutes is certainly a lot, especially in the marathon, and especially when you get, faster and faster and down in that range. I do think it's attainable though. And like you mentioned, New York is a pretty tough course. I also ran a lot of that by myself. And so I think if I had some competition, that always helps kind of pushing each other.
Definitely.
I plan next year to run some faster races, some more like kind of time trial-y flat races. So I'm going to run the McCurdy trained micro marathon in New York State at Rockland Lake State Park, which is a 3 mile flat loop, which is like basically just set up to get the OTQ. I don't think I'm going to get it the first time. I think, getting under 220 is kind of the first step. But I think in the next few years, because I have until the end of 2027 essentially to get it. I think that's still 2 more years, and I've only done 3 marathons, and I haven't done like a super flat fast one yet. So I'm excited to see where I can get. But I think it is going to take maybe a bit of risk taking and probably some luck, probably some good weather, like any good PR does. But yeah, that's what's fueling me. And if I don't get it, I think at the very least I'm gonna find sort of my marathon potential in the next 2 years, and hopefully be satisfied with it.
Oh my gosh, what a goal though as well. I mean, as you say, 8 minutes does not seem like much if you don't know about running. And then if you know anything about running, you realize, oh my goodness me, that's like a mile and a half off. You know what I mean? For your kind of
Exactly,
speeds
yeah.
that you're running. I mean, that's just absurd. Talk to us a little bit about the camaraderie that you feel, and that would, as you said, you might not get it at the McKinney track because you might be alone and you were alone in New York. And it's just, what is that vibe, that feeling that differentiates between the power you have solo, or the lesser power you maybe have solo, versus that pack mentality when you're running?
Yeah. I love running with people. In my current training, I train a lot with my friend Shane. But I live in like a smaller city, and I don't have a car too, so it's like a little harder for me to like go meet up with people, especially before work. Excuse me. So I'm kind of used to running by myself, or like, maybe with one other person. So I kind of view like if I have people in a race, great. Like that's a superpower. That's something that's going to take my, my pace to the next level and kind of keep me accountable. But there's plenty of instances where I have found myself solo in a race, and you still got to finish the race, and that you can't let that be an excuse. And luckily in New York, you have thousands of people cheering for you. I had some friends and family along the way that I saw. And I think because I went out, not too hot, I was reeling people in, kind of one by one that last, more that second half. And so, that's nice when you can look ahead and be like, oh, I'm going to get pink shirt, I'm going to get pink shirt in the next mile. And
doesn't that feel so much better than looking behind you and knowing somebody's reeling you in? It's just a completely different feeling.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I've been pink shirt before, I've been getting chased down, and once you pass someone, you got to assume they're going to come right back to you.
Yeah.
But at New York, it was great because I would say the last mile and a half, there was this guy who I actually met in Staten Island in the sub elite field. And he came up on me at the end, and I was so ready to be done. I was like, I felt like I was running in Jello or something. And soaking it in, but I was like, I'm like at my limit here. And he came, and we were like back and forth this last mile. I was actually wearing I have a pair of Meta glasses that can record video, and I kind of didn't realize it in the moment, but I was filming it, and so I posted a TikTok after the race. So if you want to see our battle at the end,
definitely.
but we were going back and forth, and I think I probably would have run 20 or 30 seconds slower that last mile if he hadn't been next to me. And ended up getting him at the end. But I honestly wouldn't have cared if he got me at the end, because I knew we pushed each other to a better time and
Right.
stuff. So especially after running a lot solo, when you do have someone come up on you, you got to make the most of it.
Did you have a chance to talk to him after the finish line at all, or?
I like kind of, I gave him a little like fist bump, and we kind of hugged each other. But
Yeah.
we were both just kind of trying to stay upright and get our medal, get some water, and get off our feet. So
Absolutely.
but that was fun. Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
amazing.
Yeah.
I had a similar I qualified for the UK Olympic trials.
Mhm.
And when I had my Olympic trials race, I was pretty solo until right at the last second, when I just heard Rosie coming up behind me, and she screamed at me. She was like,
Oh, really?
just keep running, because she did not want to overtake me right at the line. But yeah, I feel you. My legs were jello. I had absolutely nothing left, and I felt
Yeah.
nothing but love and respect for her. There was so many people were like, oh my gosh, did that like hurt your feelings? I was like, absolutely not. She had it in the tank. I didn't. That's cool. We just did something wild together. So I'm definitely going to go and find your TikTok, because that sounds like a fun watch.
Theo, I read another article that you wrote on Runner's World since the New York City Marathon, which was about your first run back after the marathon, which I thought was interesting, actually. I think a lot of people might enjoy listening to. I imagine a lot of our listeners, if they ran New York, now we're a few weeks down the road, they probably have started running a little bit again, or maybe they're still taking time off. What was it like for you to take that time off and then get back into running? And how are you kind of reintroducing running to your body and to your schedule a few weeks after New York?
Yeah. So I took, usually what I do after a marathon is I'll take the next week completely off, and the week after that, kind of just running as I feel, maybe like 20 minutes here, 3 or 4 miles there, that kind of thing. Unfortunately, I got a cold immediately after New York. I feel like I was joking that one subway ride was enough for my immune system after a marathon.
Especially when you don't commute normally. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have a subway in this part of Pennsylvania. So I did get sick, so I didn't get to go out and party all week or anything like that. But yeah, that first run back, I think it's kind of fun after a marathon, because you're going to feel bad, and you feel like, I usually feel so bad that I'm like, I feel like I have never run before, and this is like the first time I'm like getting off the couch for the first time. And it kind of like, it gives you a lot of perspective, because you're like, there are people, and myself included, who like have been in this position, like any runner's been in this position where, they feel like, oh man, this is so hard. My legs feel so bad and stiff. Like, why does anyone find this fun? And then, the second run or the third run or the fourth run, you finally get it back, and you're like, oh, okay, like I didn't lose all my fitness within a week or 2 or 3. I still have my legs. But I think it's kind of fun to feel that like almost rock bottom a little bit after you're riding this high from the race, and you got to humble yourself a little bit.
Yeah. Do you do other things in that week off, like stretching, or I don't know, any other disciplines, or are you just completely like just walking?
Yeah, I would say usually I like to ride my bike a lot. I was a big cyclist kind of between my 2 running chapters, and right now I spend so much time running, I don't get to ride my bike much. And so especially if it's nicer weather, I like to go out with my buddies and go on like a lunch bike ride. And we have some great roads in like Pennsylvania and New Jersey. I did get sick this time, and it was a little chilly for riding, and so I didn't get to this time. But last summer I did after grandma's. But other than that, that first week especially, I'm kind of like, I don't want to think about honestly like running or nutrition, or I kind of give myself that week to be like a normal person and kind of take like a mental break. And then the second week, I'll do some gym stuff. I kind of back off my weight training, like the month or so before a big race. Yeah, especially the last few weeks, I've been trying to get better at the gym. And yeah, I'll do some cross training. I think I did stationary bike and elliptical, I want to say a little bit. So Yeah.
Well,
Awesome.
welcome back to running. Congratulations, though, most importantly,
Yeah.
on your
Huge congrats.
amazing day in New York. And thanks for writing about it. It's great to
Yeah.
read those first person perspective articles from
Absolutely.
someone at your level. You know, not a lot of people who can run like you do can also write like you do. So you've got a nice combination there. And it's a really nice way for people to relate to the sport and enjoy the sport in a different way. So thanks for what you're doing. We welcome you back in New York anytime, whether it's for the marathon or a half or anything else that can get you ready for your big OTQ project. We wish you luck with that as well.
Yeah.
And thanks for being on Set the Pace.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. This is appreciate you having me. And in New York, the New York Marathon was certainly a bucket list kind of thing for me. And so to see that on the other side, not in the media center, was so much fun. And hopefully my stories will be better when I'm writing about the marathon now, because I've been in there. I've been in that on the course and stuff. So
That's
really
right.
appreciate it, guys.
New York Road Runners is a nonprofit organization with a vision to build healthier lives and stronger communities through the transformative power of running. The support of members and donors like you helps us achieve our mission to transform the health and well-being of our communities through inclusive and accessible running experiences, empowering all to achieve their potential. Learn more and contribute at nyrr.org/donate. Elmhurst resident Raymond Choy has been running the New York City Marathon since 1997, and this past Sunday he crossed the finish line for the 27th time. After a construction accident in 1993 that left him with a severely injured leg, doctors weren't sure he'd ever walk again, let alone run. But Raymond not only recovered, he found new purpose through running. Today, he joins Meb to reflect on nearly 3 decades of marathons and what keeps him coming back year after year.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Bex. Raymond, welcome to the Set That Pace. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well considering I just ran the marathon and I got a couple of sore big toes. Otherwise I'm great.
Well, you just did your 27th consecutive New York City Marathon. That's a little expected, but did you learn something different this time?
Oh yeah, I learn something every time, and every time I learn something, it supports what I learned previously. And what I learned previously is thank you for all the support I've gotten from my track club, from my support runners, and from my family for helping me just do this sort of crazy things, at least in some people's minds concerning, because they're concerned about my health and my age and things like that. But all in all, they're behind me every time I go out there.
Well, your health is important, but you survived a devastating accident in 1993 and spent 2 months relearning how to walk. How did you go from that point to running the first New York City Marathon in 1997?
Well, actually, when I was very young, I used to play sports, as a child and everything like that. I was never the fastest or the best or anything. And I remember hearing about the Boston Marathon back then. And I said, wow, to run 26.2 miles, but you don't have to be fast to do it. You just have to be consistent. I said, maybe someday, like, I guess sort of people, I didn't call it that at the time, but like on a bucket list in the back of my mind, something I might want to try to do sometime. And when I had the accident and I learned to walk again, I remember seeing on TV, there was on the TV after the marathon, they talked about a runner with multiple sclerosis. Her name was Zoe Kaplowitz, and I don't know pronouncing her name correctly. And she did the marathon, and she was a member of an organization called at the time Achilles Track Club. And I said, let me see if maybe I could go out to one of their practices and see what happens. And went out to one of their practices. Their founder, Dick Traum, who I'm eternally grateful. First time I met him, after 2 practices, he just said to me, have you thought about running the New York City Marathon? And I thought I was like so crazy because I had just learned to walk again. And well, I had learned to walk, been walking 2, 3 years, but the thought of running a marathon, like maybe in a year or two, but after the first couple of practice, he just puts that thought in your mind that we could do it. And I kept coming up with things like, gee, it's hard to get into that race. It's this, that. And then he said, don't worry, just think about it. And the first year came, November, and he says, Raymond, you're ready. We got a bid for you. And that was my first year. So wonderful, that first year.
Well, congratulations on your first one. But more impressive is as this past Sunday, you have completed 27 consecutive NYC Marathon and are part of the NYR elite groups of streakers. What keeps you coming back year after year?
Oh, come on. It's a common thing I read about other first-time marathoners. After the first one, they say, boy, that was so tough. I'm never doing that again. And then a week after that, you're thinking, hey, it wasn't so bad. Maybe I should try to do it again and, get a better PR or personal record or something like that. And then it just happened. And then with Achilles' help, all right, and their support, uh, I just did the second one. And after the second one, uh, you want to do the third one, and then it just keeps going, and it became part of my life. Every first Sunday in November, I don't know what I would be doing if I wasn't running the marathon. It just follows after Thanksgiving, the marathon, So
Raymond,
now I'm up to 27. That's all.
Raymond, that's impressive. It took me a lot more longer than a week to sign up for another marathon. I did my first marathon in 2002, New York, and I said, this is my first and last. I never want to do it again, but I saw how people in Africa, Eritrea were living, and I decided to come back. But that's very impressive for you to do it on the first week. But you have said you train 7 months a year and have undergone multiple knee surgeries and even a knee replacement. How has your training evolved with age and injury?
Oh, wow. The first few years, it wasn't that much effect on my knees, and at that point, I only had problem with one knee. And then about, let me see, the year I believe it was like 2008. So that's like after 11 years. So 11 years of running and everything like that on the rebuilt left leg started affecting my right leg. And then I sought medical treatment for my right leg. And so at that time, it was some simple things, arthroscopic surgery, 2008. And then in 2000, and then I continued my streak. Like I see the orthopedist. I mean, over the years, I've seen different orthopedists, and they say, "Oh, if I'm your doctor, I would say you got to stop running yesterday." But then I found an orthopedist in, I can mention the hospital's name, HSS, and I read on his website. He helps people continue, get in the game, things like that. They had saying. So I saw him 2008, did the arthroscopic surgery, continued my streak. 2015, I went to see him again. I said, my knee's bothering me again. He did arthroscopic surgery again in 2015. In 2022, I went to see him again, and he said, what's going on? I said, nothing's going on. And he said, what are you here? I said, well, I've been seeing you every 7 years, so I came again. He goes, okay, come back when you have a problem. So the next year, I ran my slowest marathon, and I said, let me go see him again. And he said to me, Raymond, look at your age. It's time for a knee replacement. So in 2023, he did a knee replacement on my other leg. So after that, I had some complications, but I came back from that and I continued my streak. At the knee replacement, I said, you got to enable me to get to the start line come November. And this was February. He said, don't worry, we'll get you there. We'll get you there. We'll get you there. And then after the knee replacement, my family started questioning me, Raymond, Dad, Granddad, do you really need to do this? You got to worry about your age, and we don't want you to be in a wheelchair. So I had to call a family meeting and tell them how important it was to me. That year was going to be my 25th consecutive. I said I want to be in the 25th group, and had a family meeting, Zoom meeting like this, and they said, well, we're not going to give you our blessing, but we understand why you want to do it. And I said, I promise I'm not going to run more than necessary. I'll probably walk most of it. And they said, okay, go ahead. So that's where I am now. I've been my slowest few marathons these last
That's okay.
years.
Slowing down is not a problem. Just an amazing story. And you have a big support from your family. As a longtime member of the Achilles International, how has the organization and your support runners influenced your running journey?
Oh my gosh. I've always said without my support runners, I would not have finished any of my marathons, starting from the first one. I don't remember what year. One year I remember at the midway point, I felt like I was going to keel over, and then they said, they had support runners at the midway point. They said, no, you can't stop running because we have support runners ready to take over. And they've been practicing all year, twice a week to run with a runner with us, for the marathons. Well, we need you to finish so they can support you, so they could get sort of rewarded for coming out to practices all year. So I said, okay, come. And then I finished it and continued my streak. Absolutely, Achilles, I can't imagine. I mean, they, come on, Raymond, you can keep going. Come on, come on, come on, one more minute. It's just amazing. And the time that I know that they commit to supporting us Achilles athletes, not just myself. I mean, that Sunday, maybe in the preparation, running support practices together, it's just amazing. I'm in awe that that they're so giving. All these Achilles volunteers, I can't say any more. Oh, I can't. They're just wonderful.
Achilles
Mm,
International does an amazing work, and they
yeah,
do touch many people's life. You often
yeah,
say you run more with your heart than your ability, and encourage others with these beliefs, these
yeah,
abilities to believe in
yeah.
themselves. What
Right.
message do you hope people take from
Yeah.
your marathon streak?
Oh, okay. Marathon is just one step at a time, but this it relates to so many things in life. One thing at a time. I remember after my surgeries, looking at my legs, they're all swollen, and actually my knee replacement got infected, and it was all. But we recover from adversities, and one day at a time, things get better. Whether it's mental, physical, emotional. I mean, I've been all people called trials and tribulations. Talking about 30 years lifespan over my running, but of course, other things in life besides running. And life has ups and downs.
Mhm.
Running has ups and downs. I'm sort of blessed to have been able to run every year because injuries come, and I still was able to come. But it sounds cliche, but one step at a time. Tomorrow could be better. You don't know what tomorrow brings. We know what happened in the past, but we don't know what's going to happen in the future. But today, we try to make today better and see what tomorrow brings. And then here I am. I'm 74 years old. If someone asks me, a friend, relative, anybody, how are you doing? My response is lately has been better than I deserve. I
That's
think
awesome.
not only with Achilles support and helping me face problems and deal with them. I can't. It's immeasurable, their support. I can't say it enough. And I gotta mention Dick Traum, Healy's founder and president. He started. He was able to get roadrunners to allow us amputee. I'm not amputee, but people with disabilities to participate, and we call it mainstream running events to be don't feel so alienated from other people because of our disabilities. Yeah.
Yeah, no, Achilles International does a great job with that. But I'm pretty sure now you're a little over. You have collected many jackets with the 27 consecutive.
Yeah.
But that
Yeah.
jacket that you're wearing, can you tell us more about it?
Well, back in '97, the weather forecast was supposed to be like, I had no idea what to do, how to prepare for a marathon. They said there
Mhm.
might be raining, so I went to Paragon's. I got this little rain slicker jacket and had official New York City. Well, it's not. I don't know if it's official, but it had a 1997
Oh, nice.
marathon as part of the jacket. And then the years following, at the expo, I was able to find patches for every marathons, not every marathon since then, but for a lot of marathons afterwards. I was able to get the patches, and I add patches every year. I actually have a patch for every year that I've gone. Some of the, well, since I became a streaker, I've been putting on the streaker patches, which are separate, or because they don't have the patches available anymore at the
Very
expo.
nice.
They don't seem to make it, and so I got this jacket. I got all these patches on it, and it's got a little raggedy. And I
That's
asked the
great.
dry cleaner, can you clean it? And he said, no, we can't clean it. The dirt is too embedded, but just get more patches and cover all the dirty spots. So I had to go on. So now I had to put on, now I'm up to the back of the packet, back, and I have the
Wow.
streaker patches from the last few years. I didn't add this year's yet. And then I have a patch, of course, for, first of all, let me show this patch. This is Achilles. Originally, when I started, it was called Achilles Track Club,
Yeah.
and then they became Achilles
Achilles International.
International. And
But
I
that's
credit Achilles. I never would have done the first one, and I never would have continued without their support. I can't say enough about Achilles. And by the way, looking at you, you started marathon running, not pretty late in life. My first one, 97, I was 46. So I was 46 when I started my first marathon. Little did I think I'd be continuing it. I'm 74 now.
Pretty impressive, Raymond.
Yeah.
Wow, what a career, and congratulations on all the things that you have achievement, including the consecutive 27 New York City marathons and other races. So we're so proud of you.
Yeah, I'm look at your resume, and I'm proud to be a member of the group that call themselves marathoners. I say to my family, I don't want to be referred to as a former marathoner. Oh, he used to run a marathon. I want to run that marathon every year so I could always say Raymond Choy is a marathoner, not a former marathoner.
You have earned all those miles and all those
Yeah.
patches to make sure that you are a marathoner. Yeah, we are grateful for your presence, and keep up the great work.
Okay, thank you for having me, Beb. All right.
No problem, Raymond.
Wow, Raymond, thank you so much for sharing that story and for being a member of New York Roadrunners. Now it's time for today's Med Minutes.
What your body remembers after 26.2 miles. 26.2 miles is an amazing accomplishment. Your body learns more than you realize during those miles. Your body builds stronger capillaries network, which means better circulation even on everyday activities. And another one is souvenir legs. It means that your body remembers the work. Your next long run might not be feeling smoother because of it, but you appreciate it. Say, hey, I'm just getting started again. Runners also become more efficient at burning fat, an advantage that carries into shorter distances. This means that you be able to just have the body carry more things, burn fat, and then be able to just train your body how to handle shorter races when you're going a little bit quicker, whether it's half, 10K, or 5Ks. You may notice your recovery improves over time. That's the adaptation of consistent training. So running a marathon, you've done training, and after a marathon, it is very, very important to be able to make sure you recover. Don't rush it. This is where you just say, you know what, for a week or 2 weeks, miss running. You don't have to rush into get into right away to sign up for a marathon. You are able to accomplish and celebrate it. And, there's also of impact that bone density or connective tissue that gets stronger through the marathon running. And being able to, when you train for it, when you do the run on 26.2 miles at the best you can, those are strong. It's not like swimming, you're going through just the motion. This has a very impactful in terms of running to be able to make you a stronger bone and tissue. I also tell people that support system is huge. To be able to have support, your body gave you so much. Make sure you eat well, hydrate well, and prioritize your sleep and protein, because it is very important to, you demand a lot of your body. It's good to give it back. Avoid comparing soreness and speed. Post-marathon recovery looks different for everyone. And everyone, it could be the training preparation for it, but also could mean how the race unfolded. Some like did 2013. That was a tough one for me, but I got to the finish line, so the recovery is going to be taking extra long. Whereas if you just hit the wall on the last 2 miles or the last 3 miles, the recovery is going to be a little bit more smoother. Or for somebody that hit the wall on mile 16 or 17, the recovery is going to be different. So focus on you and respect your body, what it just did, and respect the fundamentals of what the marathon has done. Make smart choices, and with that, it will help you return faster and smoother if you listen to it and visualize it. Don't compare it to other people.
And that does it for another episode of Set the Pace. We want to thank our guests today, Theo Kahler and Raymond Choy. And once again, I want to wish everybody out there a very happy Thanksgiving holiday. You know what I'm thankful for? I'm thankful for all of you, our members, our runners, everyone in the New York Roadrunners community. You make this organization so special. You help us have incredible impact week in and week out with everything that we do here. And we could not be more thankful for your support and your just being a part of this really, really special community. Enjoy it, and we'll see you next week. Enjoy the miles.